What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and today I'm going to be taking a look at young Innes, who is our newest Tempest Trial unit. And in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my comprehensive analysis of Innes and what are the best builds that you could run on him. As always, if you enjoy these free-to-play unit reviews, I would really appreciate if you could leave a like and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot, and with that said, let us begin. Young Innes is an infantry colorless archer, and he's a unique one because he has got a preferred weapon and a really good stat spread. So Bow of Freila is a 14 might exclusive weapon that gives him -1 special trigger, which is absolutely amazing for any kind of archer. And at start of combat, if he's above 25% HP, then he gets +6 attack and speed during the combat. And this is extremely easy to trigger, and this is basically giving him extra offenses just for existing pretty much. And also, if a special triggers, provided that it's not an AoE special, then he deals 7 true damage and neutralizes any kind of damage reduction non-special skills. So the 7 damage is basically like a vote out damage, and being able to get rid of these damage reduction skills is pretty insane. To give you a perspective, here are all of the skills that Innes can just bust through. A lot of these are quite common, like Close Call, Repel, Spurn, Dragon Wall, Guard Bearing, and not to mention there are also some really notable threats like Legendary Claude with Fallen Star, Black Eagle Rule on Brave Edelgard, and we also have Brave Ike with that Irvan Weapon Refine, and Flame is a super common unit that can provide damage reduction support, and young Innes can just bust through a lot of these common threats. And that just goes to show you that he's a very unique free-to-play unit. There's no other free-to-play unit who can do this. And if you actually want to do this with any other unit, then you have to inherit Deadeye on your archer. And Innes doesn't really have to do that because his bow has got that built in, so he can use a lot of the other specials and still bust through these annoying damage reduction skills. Like the description of the weapon states, it only reduces damage reduction from non-special skills. So these are the skills and units which are just immune to his damage reduction negation. So Aegis, Sacred Cal, Escutcheon, and Pavis, and then Fiorm and Legendary Corrin with their exclusive specials are not going to be minding taking on young Innes. Of course, he can be faster than them, and that's a whole another topic, but basically he's not able to bust through these damage reduction special skills that you can run. Without even looking at his stats, this preferred weapon of his easily gives you an idea of how good of a unit he is, and he's a free-to-play unit that everyone can have access to and everyone can try to plus and merge. But if we actually take a look at his stat spread, it's actually really good. He has got 43 base HP, which is not bad, and 37 attack and 38 base speed. His speed is also having a speed super boon, so that pretty much allows him to reach 175 BST after the first merge, which means that you can actually use him in arena and deal with a lot of the annoying threats. So Innes can be used in arena as well with that speed super boon, and that's pretty much the boon you should be running on Innes if you're gonna be investing into him. His bulk is actually not that bad. It's balanced bulk. He doesn't really have a dump stat essentially. So his balanced bulk is actually not that bad because it allows him to be decently bulky at max investment, as you'll see. So young Innes is an extremely good free-to-play unit with good preferred weapon and good stat spread, but of course we do have some free-to-play comparisons. Norne used to be the previous best free-to-play archer, but I feel like Innes easily takes that, and I'll explain why I think that. So Innes has better offenses than Norne and can easily have much better damage output. He also has same resistance as her, just trades the 5 points of defense for that. However, at max investment, Norne is going to be able to get more Dragon Flowers, and the best weapon for Norne is going to be Spendthrift Bow or Pelagian Bow. The thing with Norne is that you are going to be having to spend orbs to get Pelagian Bow or get Spendthrift Bow, but for Innes, you don't really need to do that. You're going to be using his preferred weapon, so you don't really have to fodder off a Midori like you have to for Norne, so it does lower the value a bit. But still, Innes is going to be requiring some expensive fodder, as you'll see later on. So like I said, the damage output of Innes is absolutely insane, and he can bust through a lot of these units which have the damage reduction skills, which Norne cannot exactly do. Norne, on the other hand, is going to be a bit more defensive, even though she's not going to be having that extra damage output and the extra speed that you can get from Bow of Freila. So it doesn't really mean that Norne is suddenly a bad unit just because young Innes came out. She's still a pretty good archer, but overall I feel like with all of the things combined, because the things that he can achieve is super unique, and having that preferred weapon just means that he's going to be aging better. Now, this is not a free-to-play comparison, but it's just funny to me that if you compare the raw stats of Alm and Young Innes, then they pretty much have the same thing. So having the offensive stat spread of a legendary unit is nothing to scoff at on a free-to-play unit, even though like legendary Alm excels at busting through high defense tanks, as Young Innes just excels at busting through damage reduction. So overall, Young Innes is going to be a really good Tempest Trial unit that many people are going to be trying to plus 10 merge, and it's going to be requiring you 2,700 Grails. However, if you show a bit of patience and you wait for like 6-7 months, then you can actually save 500 Grails, because right now, seeing the pattern, we are seeing the Tempest Trial unit reruns in the ephemera pool. So with that educated guess, we can pretty much tell that Innes is going to be getting a free ephemera manual in November. If they actually rerun Felix and Keaton in the same month, then it could even be earlier. But basically, you would have to wait a few months if you want to save those 500 Grails, and I would highly recommend you to wait until that point. And overall, Young Innes is a very good top tier archer, and he's a free to play archer, and that's amazing. So he has a lot of reasons why you want to invest into him. His good offensive stat spread is really amazing, and the fact that he's got decent bulk for a free to play unit is going to be adding like the flexibility to his matchups and how he can take on multiple units. So you'll definitely see that in the builds later on. And his preferred weapon is extremely unique. Like, there's no other archer who can do this in the game. They have to run Deadeye pretty much and Time Pulse if they want to retaliate back with a special that can just cut through the damage reduction. So he doesn't really need to like inherit Deadeye, which is really good. So if you have got a lot of Shinon, then you can just save them. There's no need to use him on Innes unless you of course want to use some other fodder. Young Innes is also going to be proving to be a very versatile unit who can be used in many game modes. He's not just restricted to one single game mode, and the preferred weapon just opens up a lot of options for him. Because of having that preferred weapon, Innes is going to be aging to be much better than a lot of the free units who simply do not have any kind of preferred weapon. And we have seen time and time again how it happens. Echidna just got dunked on by Ninja Hana, but Innes with Bow of Freila is definitely going to be a pretty good investment for the long-term usage because of this preferred weapon. If you've already built up Norne, or you have many like infantry archers at plus 10 merge, like maybe Shinon, then you're not going to be having much reason of investing into Young Innes, as you already have that class archetype pretty much. And Young Innes is going to be requiring a lot of expensive fodder if you want to use him in arena for his max potential builds. Building him up is not going to be cheap, and you definitely need some premium fodders. So that could be a con for many people, but he's going to be extremely good in arena. But it's just that he requires some premium skills. On a budget, you can just run Desperation and Drawback on him and have Susparo Sacred Seal, and he already comes with a pretty good base kit. Susparo is present on Winter Felix as well as Naysala, and Distant Counter is present on many units, so I don't think many people are going to be foddering him off, so you should definitely try to build up at least one copy of him that you get for free from Tempest Trial, because he's a really good unit. You can also just go with Savage Blow and have Reposition, and Attack Speed Solo is going to be maximizing his offenses at Unmerged. Now the next build can be a bit wacky, but it does work, and before you judge it, please hear me out because I've put quite a bit of thought into this build. So the third build is actually going to be a budget build that can be used in Arena Assault. Now like I said before, Legendary Claude is a big threat and he's a big headache because of his Fallen Star, his weapon that has got null follow-up. So it's really hard to bait out Legendary Claude in Arena Assault. And this is an unmerged Young Innes against a max investment Legendary Claude who's fully buffed with plus attack IV, who has got attack defense solo. And Young Innes needs to run this kind of build. And this build is really cheap to do. You're going to be having Reposition from Silas, and you can also inherit Steady Stance 3 at the same time. You can get Dull Range 2 from a 4-star Morgan. You don't really need version 3 here. And you can run the newly released attack defense form Sacred Seal, which comes from Innes' own Tempest Trial. So with this build, he can take out a plus 10 max investment Legendary Claude. This is such an impressive feat for a free-to-play unit who's at Unmerged and has got such cheap skills. Young Innes being able to do this on a budget is really good. So even if you do not care about your Innes at all, and if you're not going to be plus and merging him, just building him up like this can help you in Arena Assault in the situations where you really need to bait out Legendary Claude. And baiting out Legendary Claude is an auto lose most of the time because there are just not many units who can kill him unless you're just going through his damage reduction like with Winter Altina or like Altina or something like that. And Innes can be built up really easily and everyone gets a free copy. So with this build, basically you need to give him like +4 defense support to survive a max investment Legendary Claude. As long as Innes will survive, he will always kill Legendary Claude, no questions asked. And even if Legendary Claude runs something like IO Shield Sacred Seal, which is not going to be happening in Arena because he can run other Sacred Seals basically to boost his stats instead of going with IO Shield because Fallen Star's damage reduction is really crazy. But even if he runs IO Shield, this Glimmer, Innes can still take out that IO Shield Claude, so that's not going to be a problem at all. And this is going to be a very solid budget Arena Assault check to Legendary Claude, so I would highly recommend people to build up this kind of Innes if you do play Arena Assault in any kind of capacity. And now let's move on to the high investment Young Innes for a lot of his fans who are going to be building him up. So Sparrow 3 can be obtained from Divine Code section, and Moonbow can be triggered in the Desperation range. You can even run Glimmer, so you can basically have that, and even with not that many fancy skills, you can be a very powerful unit at +10 merge. Like I said before, you definitely want to go with the Speed Super Boon. Speed is a stat which has a lot of stat creep basically, and we get a lot of faster and faster units. So keeping up with the speed is really important here. So having that Speed Super Boon not only allows you to have the option of using him in Arena, but also just future-proofs him. So definitely try to go with that. And you can also go with Null Follow-Up and Time Pulse. Time Pulse is going to be his best Slot C skill. So you have Time Pulse in Slot C and then you run a 2-turn special like Glimmer, Ruptured Sky or Moonbow. Because of Time Pulse at start of your turn, this becomes a pre-charged special. And when Innes is going to be initiating combat, he's going to be instantly triggering the special, and then if he gets counter-attacked, then he can trigger that 2-turn special yet again, and not many units can survive that. Also, even in the worst case scenario, when he's attacking a unit who has got guard, because his 2-turn special is pre-charged, so you can just hit with that. And that's why Time Pulse is going to be the best Slot C skill that you can invest into Young Innes. And if you have one copy of like any kind of Time Pulse fodder, and if you're going to be trying to invest into Young Innes very seriously, I highly recommend this skill. And in Slot B, you can basically run Null Follow-Up. This is again present in the Divine Code section, and Null Follow-Up is pretty much going to be one of his best Slot B skills, if not the best one, because we have just so many auto follow-up units in the game. So Innes can easily deal with them and also deal with the damage reduction units, and that just makes it much better. Attack Defense Solo is going to be helping you patching up his defense a bit, and like you saw before with the Legendary Claude matchup, extra defense is always going to be helping Innes. And because we're not running Desperation, the defense is going to be coming into the help. You can also run Attack Speed Push 4 and Lull Speed Defense from the Divine Code section, and the self-recall damage is not really all that synergetic with the HP threshold, even though it's really lenient. Still, you want to run Mystic Boost just in case, because you're not running Desperation, and Mystic Boost can just keep him healthy. And you can use a 2-turn special like Luna actually, because he can trigger that in a single round of combat when he gets counter-attacked. You can also run Ruptured Sky with Time Pulse, and this is a very strong special because as the game progresses, we see more and more units who can hit harder. So the higher their attack stat is, the better Ruptured Sky is going to be scaling. And we also have the bonus damage against Beast units and Dragon units. And Dragon units are kind of making their comeback with that Dragon Wall skill. So Time Pulse pre-charge Ruptured Sky is going to be shredding them because he already cuts through their damage reduction. So Ruptured Sky is also a very good premium option that you could run on him. And like I said, Time Pulse is just a very good option. I would definitely recommend Attack Speed Solo because unlike Attack Speed Push 4, it doesn't really have the recall damage. And unlike Sparrow 3, it actually works in the enemy phase. So he can pretty much function as a mixed phase archer, and that's really good. So I really prefer Attack Speed Solo for his slot A, and I think it's definitely one of his best options. You can also run Lull Attack, Speed, and Slot B if you want to, because it allows you to hit insane amounts of speed and also nullify the stat bonuses of foes, and the extra attack debuff is definitely going to be helpful. You can have Pre-Charge, Moonbow, or Ruptured Sky, it really depends. And if you cannot really give him Time Pulse, then I would definitely recommend trying to get Special Spiral on him because he can have some kind of like special spam basically. So you can run Luna or Bonfire. Sturdy Impact works on slot A, but on a budget you can also run Death Blow if you want to. And just spam the 3-turn cooldown special like Luna or Bonfire. And that's going to be our game plan. Giant Drive attack is going to be helping you with extra damage output. But again, you can run Savage Blow or Defense Smoke or something like that on a budget. So you just want to focus on abusing his specials with either Time Pulse or Special Spiral if you do not have Time Pulse. And now let's move on to his arena builds. Like I was talking before, Young Innes is a fantastic unit in arena because he takes care of Legendary Claude, he can take care of Legendary Dimitri, so many damage reduction units. He can also take care of many of the faster units because Young Innes is really fast himself. So he can take on a lot of these units which are really going to be threatening to the other units. So the first build is going to be using the Divine Code section for the attack speed push 4. You need to run a tier 4 slot skill for his max arena scoring. And you want to run Time Pulse with Blue Flame. So Blue Flame becomes a 1-turn special that you can instantly retaliate back with. And that's why you can use that from the Divine Code section again. Like I said before, Innes is going to be requiring some expensive fodder if you really want to use him for his peak performance in arena. You can also run Aether if you want to, but really it's going to be a high cooldown special and it's really not going to be giving the same results as Blue Flame or Ruptured Sky. Speaking of Ruptured Sky, you can have that with Time Pulse and have it pre-charged, and this makes it so much easier for you in arena because he nukes us very hard. And even if the opponent has got Special Fighter or some kind of guard skill, you're still going to be able to retaliate back with Ruptured Sky in the enemy phase, and that's why Time Pulse is just so invaluable. Double solo skill is a really good way to go because he can function in both phases, and you basically want to have some defense on him so that he can take on Legendary Claude and threats like that. If an unmerged Innes can kill a max investment plus 10 Legendary Claude, then you surely know that a plus 10 Innes is going to be much better against these meta threats. So you can run that, and you can also run Null Follow Up if you want to. I kind of prefer lull attack defense in arena because rally skills are really common and everyone and their mom runs that. And lull attack basically means that he can survive a lot of the encounters, and the lull defense part just allows him to nuke better. So I do prefer lull attack defense, but null follow up is also an option if you want to run that. And you can also run attack defense unity with the form Sacred Seal, and this can pretty much allow you to have mixed phase functionality again and just utilize the debuffs if you're going to be facing them. Because we're focusing on his attack and defense, lull attack speed does make sense with this kind of build, and Blue Flame just has really good synergy with these Sacred Seal and Slot A skill. Sturdy Stance is also going to be an option because many units run special acceleration skills in arena, so the guard effect can help you, but so I do prefer the double solo builds basically on him because they can function in both phases, unlike Sturdy Stance which does not work in the player phase, but in the enemy phase it does help you. From arena, let's move on to Aether Raid's offense. In Aether Raid's offense, he can also function as a carry unit because he can bust through a lot of the frontliners like Brave Ike, Brave Edelgard, and many of the damage reduction units who can be really annoying. Not to mention if you use him in the Astro season, then he can cut through a lot of the Dragon Wall Ceros who are going to be really common and really annoying. So he has his place in Aether Raid's offense, but just keep in mind that he's not going to be as bulky as Norne. So with the Slot A skill and Sacred Seal, you basically want to try to patch up his bulk. Because Norne idly runs attack speed solo on both Slot A and Sacred Seal because she actually wants extra attack. So with Innes, you basically want to focus on his bulk. And the first build is actually quite a budget build because you can get Speed Res solo from Urk and also get Null Follow Up from the Divine Code section quite easily. And Noontime can be a one-turn special that you can easily retaliate back with and do a really good amount of damage because you get the true damage as well. So that's going to be giving you some really good heals. And he can still reach a good amount of resistance. I kind of prefer him in the light season because you can have Dagger and Air who can provide him with the extra resistance. And in Aether Raid's offense, resistance matters a bit more than your defense. So that's pretty much going to be it. And then you can also run Distant Defense 4 from the Divine Code section and run Soul as your 2-turn special with Bow of Freila, and you're going to be supporting him with Legendary Lucina, so you can fire off your Soul and heal up even better HP than Noontime. And Distant Defense 4 just adds up his bulk and also just ignores any kind of buffs that the enemies might have. Pulse Smoke is going to be a really good investment for his Slot C because it helps you in many situations. And then you can also run Attack Defense Solo 4 I feel like attack speed solo 4 could also work, but he needs the defense a bit more. And like I said, his bow does give him the offenses, not the defenses, so we might as well run the defensive skills here. He can also work in the Aether season, but he's not going to be having that high of a resistance, so that's why you want to focus on his resistance and patched up with Mirror Stance 3 and Speed Rest solo. So this can put him at like respectable amount of bulk for his resistance, and that can definitely help you in the Aether season. I'm running Summoner support on these builds because having your unit above 70 HP is going to be able to make it so that you can avoid those panic manners, which is really good. And then finally, if you want to invest a lot into him for the Aether season, then Attack Res Unity is going to be really good. And the attack debuff just means that Innes is going to be hitting extremely hard. For many of these Aether Raids builds, you can even run Moonbow or just like the offensive specials on your Innes and have Mystic Boost as a Sacred Seal. So those are also an option if you don't want to run these healing specials and you just want to have more power, because in the higher echelons of Aether Raids offense and Vault of Heaven, the teams that are going to be facing are going to be extremely bulky, so the extra power of Innes can really shine in those scenarios compared to someone like Norne. So that's why I do understand if you do want to run a damaging special over the healing specials, as it will have that kind of support for your teams against some of the whale teams. So that's again an option which I just want to mention. Young Innes can also be used in Aether Raid's defense because he can cut through the damage reduction skills and basically be immune to Pulse Smoke, because his bow of Freila makes Moonbow a one-turn special and then you run Time Pulse, so you don't really care about Pulse Smoke of the opponents, and you can run some skills like Sturdy Impact and Low Attack Speed to be extremely annoying to most of your opponents, and that gives them extra bulk, and you just want to have a pre-charged Moonbow basically. You can also run ARD Attack Speed if you want to get more offenses. Windsweep is going to be allowing you to just attack Brave Hectors for free, who might be supported by Flames. So that's why having that pre-charged Moonbow is going to be helping you there. So these are just the possible builds if you want to run him in Aether Raid's defense. Like I said, he's really versatile and can be used in many game modes. So that was my ultimate review of young Innes. Make sure to share this video with your friends who are thinking of building up Innes or are really curious about what kind of things he can do, because I feel like this is one of the best free-to-play units that we have ever gotten in the lifespan of FEH, and I don't really see that for many units, but I truly feel that for young Innes, because cutting through the damage reduction with his preferred weapon and his amazing stat spread is really something that I did not expect. He seems like a unit from a banner, but he's actually given to us for free, and we can plus and merge him using Grails. So hope you all enjoyed. I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their constant support, and if you enjoyed, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment. Helps me tremendously, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as a plus 10 legendary Claude against an unmerged young Innes. So that's it, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.